but there's no other choice. So
hi, Chris Hill. I see you on. All right, so we're gonna get started, and it is 11:30. It is Shift Mastermind for the New England region. Welcome, guys, and I know we have some other guests here as well. So welcome to the call. We are going to get started with our guest instructor today for Tactic 4, which is Find the Motivated, and that's about lead generation. So Sven, if you want to introduce yourself and get started.
Sure. Well, welcome everybody. I really appreciate you joining this call. It's definitely a unique time in the market. And my name is Sven Anderson. I run Anderson Group Realty in Winchester, Massachusetts. I've been a real estate professional for almost 20 years now, and I run a team of eight people right now and growing. And we're just right outside of Boston, and we cater to a lot of people that are looking to come out of the city. So I don't know. What else do you want me to tell you? What else is important to you? I don't know. I guess from a tactical number standpoint, $73 million worth of transactions last year. We have a team that consists of our buyers, our team agents, if you will. There's 5 of us and 6 of us in terms of those people. So, and then we have an operations manager, Prescott Busk, and Marielle English, our marketing person. So that's a summary of our team, who we are, what we do.
That is awesome. And can you tell us a little bit why you're passionate about Shift and why it's so important right now to you?
I don't know, guys. This book is probably the most, well, this and the Red Book, right? And you see that you can buy it spiral bound, by the way. And if you buy it spiral bound, it's got all kinds of tabs in it, which is pretty cool. But Shift is a powerful book because we don't have to recreate the wheel. I've gone through a shifting market. It's been a challenging, I was in 2008 and I was in other markets, and it was a challenging time, 9/11. And I think that this book helps guide us through kind of the real situations that are at hand. There is something to be said for where we are currently in the environment, that we literally can't go out and do some of the stuff that is in this book. And specifically in this Tactic 4, we're a little bit handcuffed here in Massachusetts and in other states as lockdowns or stay-at-home positions are put in place. So I think we need to be very, very creative with how we're doing different things. And so today I'm going to share with you a little bit about how we've done that with others and what we've done to deal with the situation at hand, because we can't stop business. We have to keep moving. It's just how we're doing it and what we're doing differently. So why don't we get into it? Let's figure out, let's get into it, figure out what next steps to take and how we're going to do it. But as I said, again, if anybody has questions, let's put them in the chat bar so that we can get to them at the end, because I have some content here that I think will be super helpful for you. But if you want to follow along in the Shift book, we're going to touch on most of the topics. So here we go. The first part of this tactic talks about having fewer leads, fewer showings, and even limited inventory coming on the market. And why is that? It's because we're in a situation where it's really challenging to get a seller to say, yeah, I'm dying to put my house on the market, right? Because nobody can see it. So we're dealing with a couple different situations that are at hand. Plus, we don't want to have anybody infected. So we're in a situation where we're trying to do some things virtually, where we're taking precautions for that. But we're dealing with this coronavirus, and it's going to be something that we're going to overcome as a company and as a team, and thrive in it. Because when we do the right things, we're going to actually see more and more people wanting to make a move with the individuals that are thinking outside the box, because this is the time to be smart about how you're approaching business. Simply, you're trying to look for people that are motivated. Clearly, if they're not motivated to sell, then there's no reason for them, A, to put their house on the market, and B, for them to even want to consider having somebody make an offer on their property and where they're going to go. People are going to relocate. People are going to pass. People are going to get married and move. They're going to upsize. There's people that are coming out of the woodwork with us right now saying that we know this is an incredible time and an opportunity in the market because of the mortgage rates. And we've got to be smart about it. And we're seeing still to this day, yesterday, my team members are having in multiple bid situations where they're trying to figure out how to get their client a house, 20, 25 offers on one property that we were dealing with. So being smart about that, but you've got to find the motivated individuals. You've got to look for them, and you've got to figure out how to go after them. The number one change in a shift is finding these people, because there's going to be people that are just going to wait in the sidelines. There's also people that are going to want to do this. This is the busiest time of year, right? And we're at a sit and wait kind of approach, but we can't be doing that. We've got to be on the phones talking to people. That's the single most important thing that you can do right now, is being on the phones with talking to your past clients, talking to people that have thought about making a move in the past, that have actually contemplated doing something, and this may be one of the reasons for them to do that. There's people that are actually contemplating just fixing their houses up. They're sitting in their houses for over a month, and they're actually people doing renovations in their basements. They're doing projects. That's another avenue for us to talk about, because one of the things that we're considering doing is showing people what the greatest return on investments are. So we're talking about doing a video series with that. So Tabitha asked what you're doing for social. So Tabitha, one of the things that we do talk about is doing some social media posts with what's the greatest return on investment to make for your house. So, and what you can make, how you can enhance it. So something to think about. We need to make sure that we focus on the people that are out there that do want to make a move. We have situations where people have to make a move. They've purchased a property, they're trying to sell at the same time they're buying. We are doing some things creatively where we're putting houses online socially, coming soon, as well as in Zillow, so that we can actually attract people to the properties. And if they're vacant, allow them to be shown. Now, that's not something that we're advising of people, but we are trying to get people out there to properties that are vacant. If they are vacant, we're putting gloves, masks, and everything else out there. With this stay-at-home piece, this is an evolving piece, and as the MAR just posted last week, we're non-essential, if you will, meaning that we aren't essential to what we need to do to the state government, if you will. However, there's this very uncertain world right now with whether you can show houses, whether you can't show houses, and now MAR just came out with something. Have you seen that? Did anybody see that lately? Kurt at MAR. So did everybody get a copy of that? I think we should be posting that out there as well, if they haven't seen it. So anyway, we talk about how do you talk to people in this market? What do you say? Because we talk about getting on the phone. I mean, basically it's being what works, what doesn't work. And we have to look at what does and doesn't work. But the phone calls work. People want to talk to you. They're a captive audience right now, and they want to have a conversation. But we need to look at what doesn't work right now. The situation at hand is you've got to pivot. If there's something that's not working in your marketing budget or plan, then you have to shift it, and you have to shift it now. And if you're not shifting, then you're not pivoting and making a move, then you're going to be in a situation where you're stuck and lost because you're spending money on something that's not working. Actually, recently, I just made some major adjustments in our marketing, technology, and operational spend to the tune of almost $125,000 this year that we've cut. So one bit of advice, if you are going to try to figure out how to make those cuts, go ask your credit card company to give you a new credit card number. All those automatic deductions that go into your credit card will be calling you saying, why can't I do that? So if you're going to make a change and start making some cuts, have your credit card company give you a new credit card number. Just on that note, but you've got to stop what's not working. You've got to manage it. How do you know if it's not working? You've got to track it. You've got to track it closely. And if you're not tracking every single opportunity that ever comes in, you won't know if it works or if it doesn't. So currently, every time that an opportunity comes in, we track where it comes from, the source. If it's a referral from either an agent or a past client, we're tracking all those things. And we're actually rewarding people that say, with a thank you card and a nice little gift to say thank you for thinking of us when it comes down to referring us business. So you've got to track those sources. But we're tracking, 10 sources of leads, where they come from, whether it's a Zillow lead, whether it's a past Sphere SOI, whether it's a mailer, whether it's a downsizing or investor seminar that we're doing. And we'll talk more about those towards the end of the call. But you've got to find out what doesn't work. If you don't find out what doesn't work, then you can't spend any time or effort on what does work. So the next thing is try to figure out what does work and start to be smart about what you're spending your cash on, where you're spending your money, because it's going to really make a difference in terms of allocating resources strategically. So I have a real estate coach, and he basically said to me, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And he said, "Do you do Facebook marketing?" I said, "Yes." And he looks at me and he said to me, he says, "Okay, so what's happening with that?" He's like, well, I said, "I'm going to cut it." He said, "Well, why?" And he challenged me and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, can I ask you this question? Everybody around you is cutting Facebook marketing, correct?" I said, "Yeah." So he goes, "What if your $2 post now extends to a greater, larger audience? It's 200 times the impact of the dollar that it was just yesterday." So think about that if you're going to cut something, but make sure that it's working and you've got to track it. If you're not tracking those things, then you're going to be in a situation where you're caught off guard. That's red light, green light, spending your money the right way and making sure that you're tracking it. So Facebook ads, we're going to double down on spending instead of pulling out. We're going to make sure that our message is heard via social. Again, Tabitha asked before the call where we spend in our time. We just posted something about the National Association of Mental Illness, and we're actually supporting that as a company for the remainder of the year moving forward. And we actually made some serious donations to them, and we're going to continue to do so. And we're going to actually look to raise $10,000 for them. But we've posted that socially. People are like, "Why are you posting that?" Somebody challenged me, "Why are you posting that now?" Because everything else is about Corona. So post something that's different than just Corona, because that's what everybody's watching right now. So be unique, be different, and think outside the box. Make sure you're time blocking. This is a big one. If you're not time blocking, it's really a challenge, especially in this day and age. You've got to wake up. You've got to keep a routine. You've got to stay true. Some of you know I'm doing a triathlon, or was supposedly doing a triathlon in Montreal, Canada, coming up in June. And one of the struggles that I face is trying to make sure I stay on point when I'm home with my 3 girls, saying, "Hey, Dad, you want to hang out and make breakfast and do what we need to do?" We've got to make sure that we're on point with what we're doing. So every morning I'm up at 5. I'm actually working out, doing what I need to do, meditation, and then journaling. And then what we're doing is making sure that we're on our 8:45 team call with our team, and then getting to it. So we're tracking what we're doing. We have a task list every day. We have a daily task list for every item that has to take place and who's associated with that task. And it's a spreadsheet that we've built so that every day at 8:45 and at 4:30 p.m., we're actually having a call with our team, with my internal team, to ask and manage what action items that we need to take. So you've got to create a routine. You've got to stay true to it, but you also need to make sure that you maintain relationships with your family and get in a space that's going to give you that space to communicate and time block, because you need 2 to 3 hours of time blocking a day, whereby you're lead generating. So that 2 to 3 hours is really critical, where you're doing 3 different things. These are the 3 different things that are important in those minimum of 3 hour time blocks, which is preparing for your action items to take place. So what do you have to do? You've got to make sure you set up your calls. You've got to make sure that you've got your database pulled up. You've got to make sure that you're in a quiet, clean area that's got your coffee and your water and everything all set up so that you're not interrupted. You've got to shut the door. You've got to make sure that it's a private place where you can do what you need to do and stay focused. And making sure that you do that is going to enable you to be able to stay on point for what you've got to do for the day. So we know what we have to take care of during the day because we've already set it up for in the morning. Taking those actions are really important. So you've got to prepare for that. Next thing, you've got to take action. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to make sure that you do those phone calls, that you send those emails, and that you write those cards If you're going to shoot a video, write the script for the video that you're going to post to social. What is the video about? Like, what is the topic? How are you going to outline that? Those are all the preparation things that you're going to do to prepare for your 3-hour lead gen and motivational piece. And then the maintain piece, you're going to maintain that piece where you're going to manage the results. So every day our team puts in and tracks their number of calls through a tool called CTE. And CTE allows us to know what's happening during the day with our team. And what it does is it allows us to make sure that we have our appointments set. We're doing virtual showings. So we're actually going to properties virtually if a client's allowing us to do either a FaceTime or a video walkthrough of a house. And we actually had a team member, but right before all of this craziness happened, walk through a house and show a house virtually via FaceTime to a client and sold it sight unseen. Came back again, just wanted to see it again, walked through it sight unseen again, Facebook, said, okay, great, we're ready to sign the purchase and sale and move on. So it is doable. You can do it. And it is, something that's out there that people are doing actively. Take action and make sure you maintain this piece. So you've got to schedule those showings, those virtual showings. This is the maintain part of that 3-hour block where you're tracking and doing what you need to do as it relates to those appointments and next steps. Make sure you're consistent, because if you're not consistent in what you're doing, you won't hit your goals. This is the most challenging time. I'm in Gary's top 100 mastermind group, and I'm watching people in the world of real estate just struggle with trying to figure out how to keep their teams motivated and fired up. And quite honestly, it's a challenge because you're so far away. You don't have the questions to ask. You don't have the interaction that you used to have in your office or et cetera. So you've got to be in touch with people and make sure that you're reaching out. And I have to tell you that it is a challenge, but we're all going to get through it. The most important thing is that you've got to double down on your calls. If you're not doubling down on your calls and you're not focused on making those lead gen calls right now, you're going to be in scramble mode, and it's going to be a challenge after April comes and goes. I mean, it's March 26th right now, and this is prime time. We would be out of our minds busy in terms of showing closings, listings, listing opportunities, et cetera, and it's quieter than it's been in a long time. However, all that pent up demand is actually building where people are still looking to make a move. They're just trying to understand why and how, and they need you to be the voice of reason about when is the right time to do it. So we're strategically actually acquiring listing opportunities and/or listings. And if clients are willing to show us around the houses virtually, we're willing to do that, as well as signing letter of intents to sell, not listing contracts, but letter intents to sell, which is different. And it's a unique way in which to approach it. But Lance Loken and some of the other folks out there are doing it. And it's pretty successful for them. And we're actually exploring more of that. And we're going to be doing more of that, because listing contracts right now, people are just so uncertain about what's going to happen. So in this tactic 4, we talk about open houses. I am not going to talk about open houses because we're not allowed to do them. So we're moving on. And open houses are going to be something that I really don't want anybody to do. I don't want my team to do them. I don't want people to do them. I don't think it's the right thing. And the number of cases that are gone up in the state of Massachusetts is just staggering. In the US, it's just overwhelming. So you got to stay socially distant to people, and you got to stay on point with this, because it's going to get worse until it gets better. So stay on point with that. 3 hours of the day though, make sure you get your call list, rehearse your scripts, do your handouts, make sure that you're on point for these things, write your follow-up notes, et cetera. We talked about that. All right, so let's get into it. We're at 10 minutes out here. So do we want to keep another 5 minutes for Q&A, or do we want to just keep going through it?
We have quite a bit of questions we want to get over to you. So do you mind if we start with some questions?
Yeah, let me just talk on a couple different topics, because I think some of the marketing that we're doing might answer some of these questions. Okay, so here we go. Virtual investing seminar. So we have an investing seminar. We do a downsizing seminar every other month. And we're going to do a virtual buyer seminar. So we're working on all those things. We're sharing resources via blog posts. So if you haven't got our newsletter and you want to get our newsletter, you should see it. It's really pretty cool. Marielle, our marketing person, super, super creative, and she's put together our marketing newsletter. So if you want our marketing newsletter, go type or email Marielle at AndersonGroupRealty.com. Marielle at AndersonGroupRealty.com, and we'll send you our newsletter. It's pretty cool. But it talks all about our properties, what we're doing, how we're doing things, and it really was heavily focused on Corona and how to deal with those issues. So, so what else? Social media, making sure that we're posting that stuff out there, and events. You've got to make sure that you have events for your clients. Every year we do at least 7 to 12 events a year for our clients, whether they're face to face. We did a movie premiere. We did all kinds of different things, and I spoke about that up in, you know, at the regional event. But I think it's really important that you stay connected. Go deep with your sphere and past clients. Make sure you reach out to them. Just talk to them. Hey, how you doing? How's things going? And here's the tip. There's nothing that you say about real estate. Zero. You don't say, how's your house? You don't say any of that. How's your family? How's work going? Is it crazy working from home? And there's absolutely no dialogue whatsoever about real estate or your job or anything unless they ask you. If they ask you, then it's the right, but otherwise, this is the time not to ask about real estate. It's about talking about them. And when they bring that up, you then have the conversation about what's happening in the local market. That's my opinion about scripts and dialogues right now. That will change, but it gives you the right to follow back up to them. If they do ask for some information, then you can actually follow back up with, would you like me to send you some information as the market evolves in terms of what's happening after this stops and slows down? If that's the case, then I'd love to send you some emails, an email drip campaign, or even some market stats about the particular area that you're in. Last thing is we're using Mojo Dialer and Cole's directory, and we're just taking this time to clean up our database. If you're not doing that and you haven't done it, you should step it up and do it right now. Clean up your database, make sure all the contacts are correct, make sure the data is correct, emails, etc. If somebody's changed a job, you have it. So good stuff. Was it helpful? Awesome. All right, let's get some questions.
All right, I'm going to go up to the top here. Let me just scroll a little bit. There was one from JT, I believe it was. Where is it up here? Give me one second.
Sure.
What are your narratives to sellers who had listings coming on within the next couple of weeks? Are you telling them to just hit the pause? That's the question. And do you think it'll change the pricing at all when we eventually get to market?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I truly appreciate that one. We had a situation where a client was actually buying a house without any contingencies, zero. And they were saying, okay, our house is coming on this week, meaning this week. And so with all of what's transpired since Tuesday, I advised our client to hold off on doing that, but not stop the marketing of the property socially. So what we're doing is we're pushing it out there. We're putting a date in MLS because we just listed 2 properties this way, and we've got a ton of activity on them socially. Now, will the seller let us see the house? Probably not. Will the buyer write an offer on the house sight unseen? Potentially. So that might be the case that we have to deal with. But if it's me, and if it's your house, I'm going to ask you this question: if it's your house, would you put it on right now? Because nobody, you don't want, I don't want anybody in my house. I don't want anybody infecting myself or my family if it's me. And 2, I don't know that I'm going to actually have buyers that are going to come out there that are willing to give me what I want. So we are posting them out there socially, but I'm being cautiously optimistic for when this is going to slow down. And I'm going to say that there's other brokers that are pushing properties out there right now. I'm struggling with how they're going to do it effectively to get the most money for their clients. And that's my job. That's my responsibility to my sellers. So I'm trying to be creative with it, but I'm not stopping that process. So what we're doing for every listing that we do a Matterport tour. So it's a virtual walkthrough tour of the property. It's a video walkthrough of the property, as well as professional photos and drone footage. So people can see the house immediately and look at it and know what it is. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how to answer that question other than seeing what happens, but we are actively putting properties out there socially. Yep.
Great. All right, I got a couple of questions on your letter of intent. It says, please tell us more about your letter of intent. Is this template available?
Sure. I'll actually post it out there. I think it's just it's a letter of intent to sell your property. And so what it does is it just basically locks you into working with you working with them. And I think it's, you know, is it completely legally binding? No, but it's actually something that they sign, and it's something that allows you to be moving forward on with locking the listing up so that you don't have to worry about it. To say, because if you put the listing, if you sign a listing contract, right, MLS says that you've got to put it in a listing within 24 hours. I really don't want to put a listing on 24 hours. I'd rather use it socially and be creative with it. So what other questions are there out there?
I think those were the majority of them. We have some good content in the chat group over there that people added the wording from MAR as far as the Massachusetts Association of Realtors on open houses. So please take a look at that, guys. And let's see, we got 3 new. Sign a non-MLS form. I don't know what that is. That's Diane. I don't know what that is. And
yeah, there's a non-MLS form in MLS, and we can do that too. But what we're finding is that depending on what the timing's like, I want to get as many listings built up as possible. So what we're also doing is we're doing some social media, Facebook marketing about coming soons as well, and getting people registered that way, because we're seeing a lot of activity. We still have buyers that want to buy properties. We still have people that want to make a move and do what they want to do, and they're struggling. They're handcuffed. So we're you know, we're trying to deal with this as well as everybody else. So
we're getting asked what your wording is for social media. Oops, just changed on me. Social media. What is your wording you're using that complies with the current market? I'm guessing. From Janice.
I think what we're and it's evolving, Janice. So we're in the process of figuring that out. But what we're doing for our clients is saying to them, you know, what is it that, I mean, I have clients pulling their houses off the market because they don't want people in them. And then they're saying to me, Sven, is there enough inventory for me to see that makes sense? And we're talking about that. So one of the struggles is it's the chicken or the egg. Which one do I use? What do I put do I sell my house first? So we're in that mode. But the social media piece is something that's evolving, and you know, we're doing things virtually. I mean, we're showing houses, we're selling houses virtually via FaceTime, and we're doing some video recording. So we're doing some things creatively, and we have to step up and do it. We can't stop. But it's just, here's how much does this cost? That's my question. This doesn't cost much of anything. So if you're going to do anything, spend your time on the phone with your clients, just asking how they're doing. Because once you do that, you'll find out what it is. You're like, oh my God, I haven't talked to that person in 5 years. That's the perfect time to do that because they're home. So that's what we're telling our team to do, is reach out to them. And we're reaching out to all of our past clients, and we're having our team reach out to our past clients because there's so many of them. And we're just trying to check in and see how they're doing.
I love that. So I got another question. How are you getting photographers, stagers, et cetera, into the house that you're about to list, given the current climate, even if you're only listing on social media?
Yeah. So we still currently have a photographer that will do what we need to do for us. And we still have one stager that will do that, but they are very challenged with that. If there is somebody that's going to a house, I have gloves, I have sanitation wipes, and I have masks for anyone on my team. So I kept some surgical masks and donated some actually to Mass General, but I actually had some here, and we're using shoe covers and booties and everything else to be protective, and everything that's actually coming in or out of that house, or anything that's ever been touched, we are throwing away and or washing everybody's clothes as they walk out of a house. So if it's vacant, that's what we're doing. And any vacant properties that we're actually trying to push every single vacant property that we have to get it out there right now. So.
Excellent. We have 1 minute left. Any final words that you'd like to finish off with, Sven?
I just, you know, I think really ultimately it's about making sure that you still consistently lead generate, right? this is the topic of the, you know, and this tactic is so critical. But if you're not doing it now, you got to 10x this lead gen piece, because this whole month is going to hurt everybody. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a backlog of everything that's going to happen. The movers are going to be backlogged, the stagers, the photographers. So you've got to set the expectation with them to do this now. And I think that the more that you do, the better. And if you set the stage correctly with the client and you convey to them what's going to happen and how it's going to happen in a confident fashion, you're going to be the winner in the situation when they actually say you're hired. I think that's the biggest part of the puzzle. But you've got to just stay true to your lead gen, because if you're not, and you're not focused on it, you're going to pay for it later on. So
thank you so much. You did a fabulous job today. We really appreciate you. I will tell you, you put Marielle to work, because there's been a lot of requests for your newsletter on the side over here. But thank you so much for your time today. I hope you guys enjoyed Tactic 4. We'll be back on tomorrow with Brad Knowles on Tactic 5. And this is recorded, so you could absolutely check it out again and share it with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day, guys. Thanks, Ben.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ben.
Absolutely.